So this video is about the crazy speed that I'm seeing this gentrification here in South LA and Inglewood and everywhere in the surrounding area of LA. There has been a tremendous amount of building properties going up, and it seems like every week there is a new apartment building that is about to either go up or it is in the works. Or it has already, it's almost complete. And it's just an explosion. And I'm thinking that maybe it has something to do with the fact that they've kind of freed up the zoning laws. But the problem that could follow thereafter, I believe it's supposed to make it so that more people could find places to live. But is that going to be affordable and accessible to those who need it the most? And that's the issue. And people who already are living in places are fighting to keep their place through programs such as rent relief, or they're working 2 or 3 jobs, maybe 2 jobs, or maybe they are just behind and they're trying to play catch up. Then there's people who they are not able to do much of anything because they lost their job and they're still looking for work. And so there's people who are still waiting on EDD and depending on that, and that has a whole nother story by itself, because there was so much fraud in the earlier part of last year with EDD. It was really sad because people who needed it the most were affected the most by the fraud that was going on because they had frozen a lot of the EDD money because they were, I believe, investigating, the fraud. Um, and I can agree that there was a lot of fraud because um, there were several EDD cards with different names, and they just were coming to particular addresses here in South LA. I won't say where. And it was crazy because whoever was doing this, they were opening the mailbox and stealing those envelopes out of the mailbox because the reason why they were doing it, they would apply for or pretend like they were someone else and apply for EDD, and then they would wait until maybe possibly those cards show up because they load the cards with money, I guess. Um, Depending on how the person filled out their information, if they're using somebody's identity or whatever. And you'll just find all these cards with different names going to, fictitious addresses or addresses that are not where the person even lives. And somebody is using somebody's address so that they can commit fraud. So I know a lot of people were complaining they were getting different type of mail with other people's name that didn't even live there. So a lot of that was going on. And then now I'm seeing, here we are in the year of 2022, and there's just so much building going on. There are people that still need places to stay, or they've lost a lot of employment. You see a lot of jobs are open, but they might not be paying enough. People are worried that it's not enough to pay their bills and rent because some people are in between paying their credit card, their car note, their bills, and their rent. And the jobs that are available may not be paying enough. And so there's so many issues going on. And so this gentrification, what I notice is there's so many different apartment buildings that are popping up, but and looking at them, they all don't look like they're that affordable either. So LA County exhibited the highest rates of gentrification with 10% of tracts classified as at risk of gentrification. So an early ongoing gentrification or advanced gentrification. So in addition, 5% of the tracts in LA County were not gentrifying, but experienced ongoing displacement of low-income households. And so you can see a map. It is actually here showing the changes that have been made recently. And it's an ongoing project. So here in Inglewood, they had the Super Bowl. They're still working on that, the stadium. And they're also working on near the Coliseum. There is, if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be a museum built there. It's the Star Wars Museum, I believe. It looks like a spaceship the way it's being built. And I've seen it, you drive past it, you see it's near USC and near it is the there's a science center over there, and then there's USC, then there's a natural history museum. So I believe it's going to be another museum, but it's the Star Wars Museum. And so when they build all these things, the price of housing, rents, everything in the surrounding area seems to go up to some degree. And then over in Inglewood, not only just the football stadium, I learned that there's going to be a Clippers dome, and it's going to be like a basketball dome, sort of like how the Great Western Forum is on Manchester and Prairie in Inglewood. There's going to be a dome, and I believe it's located on Prairie and Century, and it's in the works. And it is supposed to be the home of the Clippers. And so that is going to be another place that's going to have high traffic for people that are going to basketball events. And so they have been doing a tremendous amount of building like large projects, and then from large projects to smaller projects. And I've seen them in the surrounding area, places that I've used to frequent. I noticed it didn't have as many apartment buildings. Now they have more apartment buildings coming up. But however, when you look at them, the question is it going to be affordable? And I guess the issues that were raised before the pandemic really took off was affordability and housing and homelessness, which is still really a real issue here in LA County. And so in looking at this, it's like it's spread everywhere. And I even was looking and I saw that it wasn't just here in California, it was in other cities as well. It seemed like other metropolitan cities were experiencing similar issues of gentrification and displacement. So this right here, this article, I think it may be a little bit older, but it might have some more input on the whole situation with what has been going on. So since 2016, UCLA Urban Displacement Project team developed a neighborhood change database. So they had a mapping, if you would, a mapping of the change in Southern California, Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego. So I believe that was the map up there that was trying to load. And so Los Angeles gentrification and displacement. And so I don't know if you can see this map as clear as I can, but the at-risk areas, it says low income susceptible to displacement are the light blue shaded. If you get a chance, you can look at this article. It's called Urban Displacement Project. The ongoing displacement is a little darker blue. It starts to get a little darker blue. The the at risk of gentrification is where it's sort of like light purple. And advanced gentrification, early ongoing gentrification is starting to get a little bit darker purple. And the darkest purple is advanced gentrification. So you can see where they've been busy making all of these changes. And stable, moderate, mixed income is really light. But you notice those areas are like Yorba Linda, Diamond Bar, West Covina. It's places like that. Stable, advanced, exclusive areas like Calabasas, Agora Hills, Malibu, parts of there. Stable, moderate, mixed income are becoming exclusive. All of the shaded areas that look like pink are where there's stable income areas, areas where most of the people are, they're probably making six figures. It tends to be like in the areas like you hear what I said, Agora Hills, Thousand Oaks, Calabasas, Malibu, Santa Monica, parts of there, like closer to the coastline, and then you see some other parts, there's areas of Pasadena and Altadena and Burbank and all of the Yorba Linda, Fullerton, um, where you see the stable income. But when you see all of like when it starts getting like the purple, the light purple, the light purple, or the like faint like bluish is where it is all of this like at-risk gentrification, ongoing displacement, low income susceptible to displacement, early ongoing gentrification, advanced gentrification. So it is happening in warp speed, if you would. So it says in 2016 they did this urban displacement project. This was UCLA, and the team developed this map and this database so you can see what is going on. And so the database is to help stakeholders better understand where neighborhood transformations are occurring and to identify areas that are vulnerable to gentrification and displacement in Southern California. The final version of the database, which was updated in 2018, includes LA, Orange County, San Diego counties, and the gentrification and socio-demographic indicators that are based in 2015 data, so American Community Survey. So it shows whether each census tract comprising these three Southern California counties gentrified between 1990 to 2000. So gentrified between 2000 to 2015 and gentrified during both these periods. So the exhibited characteristics of a disadvantaged tract that did not gentrify or did not gentrify between 1990 and 2015. So it shows, basically it tells a story. The map keeps track of what is going on despite what people will say. Oh, there's no gentrification, there's nothing going on, when the map clearly shows there's a lot that has been going on. It's been in the works for quite some time. And there's a blueprint of it. And so the 2020 Urban Development or Urban Displacement Project, team in San Francisco Bay Area collaborated with UCLA partners to produce an updated neighborhood change map of the three Southern California counties and identify COVID-19 related risks this is bringing it to more our time closer to now, what is going on. So this updated version employs the same displacement uh, typologies and urban displacement used to create their most recent map. Chicago, Atlanta, Denver, Memphis, San Francisco. These are also places that have the same issues going on with gentrification and even maybe other places that I hadn't mentioned. So it uses 2018 data from the American Community Survey and incorporates adjustments to the typology methodology based on feedback and from researchers and equitable development stakeholders in several U.S. regions. So this has been an ongoing huge project that's been going on. So the map also displays a series of indicators developed by UCLA team to model the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on neighborhoods across the region. So these maps are really important because they basically show what changes have been made and how it affects people in these areas. So, reading the key findings in 2018's map, LA County exhibited the highest rates of gentrification with 10%, basically reading into what I had read. The tracts classified as at risk gentrification, so early ongoing gentrification and advanced gentrification. In addition, 5% of the tracts in LA County were not gentrifying but experienced ongoing displacement of low income households. So Orange County had the highest rates of exclusion, 55% of the tracts exhibiting either exclusion, risk, ongoing exclusion. 29% of the tracts in Orange County were classified as stable, advanced, exclusive, and highest level of exclusion. And you know what exclusion means. You know, you have a certain income level that lives there, and only those people that make that amount of money will be able to thrive in that area. So it basically has created an invisible wall, if you would, economically. So in San Diego County, 7% of the tracts experience risk of an ongoing gentrification displacement. 51% of the tracts exhibited some phase of exclusion, including 23% classified as at risk of exclusion or lower income households in the future. So a new set of layers examines 5 dimensions. There's 5 dimensions. UCLA Center for Neighborhood Knowledge report California neighborhoods and COVID-19 vulnerabilities. So which, number 1 through 5, okay, it reads which communities are most at risk of job displacement in the hospitality. These are the essential workers that you are hearing about that are most affected by COVID-19 and job loss and all the things that we're hearing now. Which communities are most at risk of job displacement in hospitality, retail, personal care, and service sectors? Number 2, which communities are at risk due to disproportionate high percentage of residents not enrolled in unemployment insurance UI benefits? Number 3, which communities have high numbers of renter households that are experiencing extreme financial hardships? Number 4, which communities are most burdened by shelter-in-place mandates? Number 5, which communities are likely to be underrepresented in the 2020 census due to the low response rates? Okay, or unrepresented, that is. So reports on COVID-19 and housing stability. So read UCLA's work on systemic racial inequality and renter and homeowner housing crisis during the coronavirus pandemic. Learn more about COVID-19 equity research initiatives at the news and publication pages. And so they have an ongoing map. And so I will say this again, this is called Urban Displacement Project. And so this is a real thing that is happening, guys. So if you were wondering why is rent so high? Why is it that I have to relocate? Why does it seem like everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, rent is skyrocketing? This is not an imaginative thing. This is not something that you are just experiencing alone. This is a real thing that is happening. It is not happening in one place. It's happening in most of the metropolitan cities. What is crazy is they need the essential workers to do the jobs that these people would probably not want to do. And so to displace people and have them to move further out means you're not going to have people to work those jobs. So, or you're going to have what you have going on, the great resignation or the great quit or the big quit, or you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be thinking twice, do I have the money? Gas is going up. Do I have the money to drive this distance? Is this going to be worth it? Is this going to pay my bills and rent and my car note? And I'm having to put all this money in the gas tank to go to this place. Um, is this just actually not really helping at all? So a person will probably want to live and work close in proximity in a more economically efficient way rather than having to consider riding a bus. And so I'm wondering if that's what they're not doing, is making these bus lines so that you can consider getting on the bus and not driving and going a longer, further distance just to go to work, just to make ends meet. Is that smart? Does that make sense? It might not. And then are you spending long hours just getting to work, rather than being at work? So these are a lot of things to consider, but this looks really bad when you look at it. And it looks like this thing has been going on for quite some time. This was not an accident. This was pretty much set. And it seems like it was calculated. In other words, like somebody was working on this. And this project was in the works for quite some time. And they knew who it was going to affect. So, having said that, I'm going to let this go. But this is something to think about. But okay, so before I let this go, in LA County, what I've noticed here in South LA, there's still ongoing evictions, there's rent relief, there's still help for those that want to catch up or they want to try to get rent help. Some people have been waiting and waiting for their money, and it has been very, very slow to give out help or support for people who are in need. There's been illegal evictions going on. There's been people who have been displaced, people who have given up, people who have relocated, and they have had to live on other family members, and that doesn't always work out. So there's been a lot of things going on. I've noticed that some people are, they work a little bit here and there, and then they're exhausted and they're having health problems related to this COVID-19, this pandemic, which may get worse. And so there's a lot to consider here. But yeah, if you want to really look at what has been going on in all of these different metropolitan cities, even here outside of California as well, this map shows you, it gets to the point of gentrification and displacement.